I've sold your beach house, Dad. Goodbye. My daughter's betrayal came through the phone. Cold, calculated, cruel. She believed she'd taken everything from me. But she had no idea her mother and I had been preparing for this exact moment for years. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. Dr. Morrison pronounced me healthy 20 minutes later. "Everything all right, Dexter?" he asked, noting something in my expression. "Everything is exactly as it should be," I told him. The drive home took 15 minutes through quiet Connecticut streets painted in autumn colors. Inside, I walked past our gallery wall wedding photos. Celeste at 3 years old, the day we adopted her graduations, her wedding to Thaddeus. Each moment frozen before everything changed. In my study, I unlocked the bottom drawer. 3 manila envelopes sat where Vivienne had placed them 6 months ago, each labeled in her precise handwriting, 1, 2, 3. My hands were steady as I opened the first envelope. A letter dated 2 years ago. "My dearest Dexter, if you're reading this, Celeste has done exactly what I feared. Thaddeus has convinced her to betray us. I know your heart is breaking. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning of her education. I've been watching him for 2 years. He's dangerous, a predator. But Celeste won't believe us if we tell her. She needs to learn the hard way. This isn't revenge, Dexter. This is education. The hardest kind." I stopped reading Vivienne's words hitting like a physical blow, not because they were wrong, but because they were perfectly right. The letter continued with instructions: call Sterling immediately. Activate our legal protections. Contact Detective Hayes. Open envelope 2 only after you've done these things. Trust me, my love. Sometimes the greatest love requires letting them fall so they can learn to stand on their own. I dialed Sterling Pemberton, our family attorney. "Sterling, it's time. Vivienne was right. Activate Plan B." A long pause. "I'll be there in an hour." He arrived at 1:30 with a leather briefcase and somber expression. I hoped this day would never come, Dex, but Vivienne was always 10 steps ahead. Sterling spread documents across my desk: property deeds, surveillance reports, financial records spanning 2 years. The paper trail of a woman who'd seen the future and prepared for it. "The beach house sale is illegal," Sterling explained. "Celeste forged a power of attorney. The building where she lives. You own it through a shell company Vivienne set up 15 years ago. Every asset is protected." I studied the documents, seeing Vivienne's invisible fortress around our family's wealth. A memory surfaced 2 years ago. Vivienne at our kitchen table, surrounded by legal papers. "Dexter, I need you to trust me. Thaddeus is planning something. We need to prepare for the day Celeste chooses him over us." I'd trusted her then. I trusted her now. As Sterling left, I sat alone with Vivienne's photograph from our 40th anniversary. I touched the frame gently. "I'll honor your plan, my love," I whispered. "Celeste will learn what family truly means, even if it breaks my heart to watch." Outside, the autumn sun was setting. Somewhere in Europe, my daughter was celebrating her betrayal completely, unaware that every move had been anticipated, documented, and planned for. The game had begun, and Vivienne, even in death, was still 10 steps ahead. Sterling poured coffee, the late afternoon sun casting shadows across my study. "Before we open envelope 2, you need to know Detective Hayes has been investigating Thaddeus for 3 months, ever since you brought her the toxicology results." The memory hit hard. 3 months ago, the medical examiner's grave face. "Mr. Ralston, I found digoxin in your wife's tissue, a cardiac poison. This wasn't a natural death." I'd known. Deep in my investigator's gut, I'd known the moment Vivienne collapsed. The state examiner confirmed it after exhumation. Sterling continued. Hayes has been building a murder case since. My hands were steady as I opened the second envelope. The first document made my breath catch. Adoption papers dated 40 years ago. Celeste Marie Ralston, age 3, biological daughter of Maxwell. Ralston, Vivienne's brother, deceased. DNA results attached. Celeste shared 50% genetic material with Maxwell, 0 with me. Vivienne's note explained. We never told her because we wanted her to feel fully ours. Maxwell made terrible mistakes, but he loved his daughter. When he died, we promised to raise her as our own. Blood doesn't make a family, Dexter. Love does. The second document was Maxwell's sealed will. $2 million held in trust for 40 years, waiting for Celeste when she demonstrates wisdom and maturity. Thaddeus discovered this inheritance 2 years ago, Sterling said quietly. Every move since has been calculated. He researched Maxwell's death, found the trust, and targeted Celeste deliberately. He slid another file across. Background check results that chilled my blood. Thaddeus Blackwood wasn't his real name. Todd Brennan from Worcester, Massachusetts, wanted for fraud involving an elderly woman who'd lost $500,000 before dying of a heart attack. Suspected in Rhode Island, where an elderly man died after changing his will. He's done this before, I said flatly. Multiple times. And Vivienne figured it out. That's why she prepared. Evening fell. Sterling left and I sat with old photographs. Celeste at 3, her tiny hand in Vivienne's, both smiling on adoption day. She'd been ours in every way that mattered. At 8 o'clock, I found Vivienne's final note in the envelope. Don't open 3 until Celeste comes home. She will come home, Dexter. When Thaddeus shows his true face, she'll run to the only safe place she knows. Be ready. The next morning, Connecticut State Police. Headquarters gleamed modern and efficient. Detective Cordelia Hayes met me in a conference room, sharp eyes missing nothing. Mr. Ralston, thank you for coming. Mid-30s, confident someone who'd seen darkness and learned to navigate it. We need to update you. She spread case files across the table. Crime scenes, financial records, surveillance photos. 3 months ago, you brought evidence your wife was poisoned. The state examiner confirmed digoxin administered over 6 months. We've been building a murder case since. Thaddeus Blackwood, real name Todd Brennan, had access motive and means. We traced his dark web digoxin purchase. We've also connected him to 2 other suspicious deaths in New England. Same methodology, same patterns. Surveillance photos showed Thaddeus meeting criminals in Boston, visiting elderly victims before their deaths. Bank records showing systematic theft. We're not just investigating fraud, Mr. Ralston. We're hunting a serial killer. The words hung heavy. When can you arrest him? Hayes's expression tightened. He's in Europe with your daughter. We have an arrest warrant ready when he returns to U.S. soil. But Mr. Ralston, she paused carefully. We're concerned about Celeste's safety. If Thaddeus suspects she knows anything, if he feels cornered. She didn't finish. I understood perfectly. My daughter, adopted or not, she was mine, was alone in Europe, with a man who'd murdered at least 3 people. A man who saw her as nothing more than a means to an end. Somewhere Vivienne's voice echoed. She will come home. Be ready. 3 weeks of waiting felt like 3 years. I sat in my study while the storm raged outside, rain hammering the windows like accusations. Detective Hayes had me on alert. If Celeste called, if anything changed, contact her immediately. At 8:15, my phone rang. Unknown international number. Dad. Celeste's voice was barely a whisper, terrified. I'm at JFK Airport. I need help. Please don't ask questions. Just, can I come home? My hand tightened on the phone. Of course, I'll send a car. Are you hurt? Are you safe right now? I'm safe for now. But Dad, her voice broke. I was so wrong about everything. I called Sterling immediately. She's coming home. Alert Detective Hayes. Vivienne was right about everything. At 10:30, headlights cut through the rain. The car door opened and Celeste emerged, soaked, clutching her left shoulder. Even from the porch, I could see she was moving wrong, favoring one side, face tight with pain. Celeste, you're bleeding. Blood seeped through her jacket, dark against the wet fabric. Inside, under the living room lights, she removed her jacket with shaking hands. A bandaged gunshot wound amateur field dressing already soaking through. He tried to kill me, Dad. The words came between sobs. Thaddeus, in our Paris hotel room. I woke up and he was standing over the bed with a gun. He said, "I'm sorry, baby, but you're worth more dead than alive." My blood went cold. How did you escape? I ran. He shot me as I went through the door. I made it to the street, got a taxi to the embassy. They patched me up and got me on a flight. Maggie Sinclair appeared at the door, first aid kit in hand. My neighbor for 40 years, she'd seen the car arrive. "Oh, honey, let me help." While Maggie cleaned the wound properly, Celeste's story spilled out. I heard him on the phone the day before talking about the inheritance and eliminating loose ends. I didn't understand then, but when he came with that gun, my jaw tightened with controlled fury. "Celeste, there's something you need to know about your mother, about Thaddeus, about everything." I retrieved the third envelope, my hands shaking for the first time. "Your mother left this for you, for this exact moment." We opened it together. Vivienne's handwriting addressed to our daughter. "My dearest Celeste, if you're reading this, you've discovered Thaddeus's true nature. I'm so sorry you had to learn this way, but you wouldn't have believed us otherwise." Celeste read ahead, her face going white. Her hands started trembling violently. "Celeste, I need you to be strong for what comes next. Thaddeus poisoned me. For 6 months he put digoxin in my morning coffee, the coffee you made for me every day. You didn't know, sweetheart. You were his weapon, but you are not responsible." "No." Celeste's voice was barely audible. "No, no, no. I killed you, Mom. I killed you." She couldn't breathe, hyperventilating. I pulled her into my arms. "You didn't kill her. He did. He manipulated you. Used you, turned you into an unknowing accomplice. That's what predators do." Maggie's eyes filled with tears. "Your mother knew, honey. She knew, and she forgave you before it even happened. That's the kind of love she had." Detective Hayes arrived at 11:25, her expression grim. "Celeste, I need your statement about the attempted murder. But first you need to know we've been investigating your husband for 3 months. He's wanted for 2 other murders." She spread case files across the coffee table. Photos of elderly victims, death certificates, financial records showing a pattern of predation spanning years. Celeste's voice was hollow. "He married me to kill my parents and steal money I didn't even know existed." "Yes." Hayes's tone was gentle, but firm. "And Celeste, he's on a flight back to the U.S. He lands tomorrow morning. We believe he's coming to finish what he started." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Outside, the storm intensified, lightning illuminating 3 faces in the living room, a father determined to protect his daughter, a neighbor bearing witness to love, stronger than death, and a young woman finally understanding the price of betrayal. Somewhere over the Atlantic, a killer was coming home. Morning found Celeste in the kitchen, untouched coffee growing cold before her. She hadn't slept. The weight of knowing she'd been the instrument of her mother's murder had broken something fundamental inside her. "Celeste, there's more you need to know." I stood in the doorway. About what your mother and I prepared, about what we actually own. Sterling arrived at 7:30 with document boxes. Time to show her the full picture decks. She needs to understand the protection that's been in place all along. I spread property deeds across the kitchen table. The building where you lived with Thaddeus, I own it. The beach house you thought you sold that sale was illegal because you never had authority. I own 6 other properties through shell companies your mother and I established 20 years ago. Celeste stared at the documents, confusion replacing despair. But you let me think I'd sold your house. You let me think I'd taken everything from you. Because you needed to feel the weight of that choice, I said gently. Your mother knew sometimes the only way to teach responsibility is to let someone experience consequences, even if those consequences are carefully controlled. Sterling added layers of trust documents, LLC filings, property transfers. Your parents were protecting family assets from exactly this kind of predator. Every property is in legal structures Thaddeus couldn't touch. Tears streamed down Celeste's face. So when I called you from the doctor's office so cold, so cruel, you already knew everything. You knew he was dangerous and you just let me go. The question cut deep. Your mother made me promise. She said, if we stop her, she'll resent us and never learn. If we let her go and discover truth herself, she'll understand what real love looks like. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. The beach house buyers were our associates, Sterling revealed. They knew the sale was staged. No one was harmed except Thaddeus's scheme. Detective Hayes arrived at 10 with surveillance equipment. Mr. Ralston, confirmation Thaddeus's flight lands at 2 p.m. We're setting up now. Police technicians installed hidden cameras throughout the house living room, study, kitchen. All legal, all warranted, all invisible. Hayes briefed us at 11. Thaddeus doesn't know we have an arrest warrant. He thinks he's coming back to a vulnerable old man and frightened daughter. He has no idea we've been building a murder case for 3 months. Plainclothes officers positioned around the neighborhood, in parked cars, walking dogs, sitting on benches. 20 trained professionals, invisible but present. At 2:30, Fairchild called. Mr. Ralston, I'm at the grocery store. A man matching your photo is here buying supplies. He asked the cashier about your address. Hayes confirmed at 3. He's rented a car under a fake name. We're tracking him. He's driving through your neighborhood now, casing the house. I sat with Celeste in my study at 4. Your mother planned every step. She knew Thaddeus would reveal himself. She knew you'd come home. Her love was so powerful, it's protecting you even now. Celeste read more of Vivienne's letter. Dexter will show you what we built, not just property and money, but a fortress of protection around our family. This is what real wealth looks like, not what you own, but who has your back when darkness comes. Hayes updated us at 6. He's checked into a motel 3 miles away. We have surveillance there. Based on his pattern with previous victims, he'll come tonight, probably between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Sterling reviewed final documents with Celeste. You were never legally married. He used a false identity. The marriage certificate is void. You have no legal connection to his debts or crimes. Maggie brought dinner at 8. Nobody had eaten all day. She sat with Celeste, holding her hand. Honey, your mama was the smartest woman I ever knew. She loved you enough to let you make mistakes. That's rare. At 9, Hayes gathered everyone for final briefing. Everyone in position. Mr. Ralston, Celeste, you'll be completely safe. We have 20 officers surrounding this house. When he comes, we'll have him on breaking and entering attempted murder, and we'll serve the murder warrant. She looked at each of us in turn. This ends tonight. Outside, darkness fell. Inside, we waited. The trap was set. Vivienne's plan, 2 years in the making, was about to reach its conclusion. Somewhere 3 miles away, a killer was preparing to make his final move. He had no idea he was walking into checkmate. At 11 p.m., the house appeared quiet. A single lamp glowed in the study-staged vulnerability. Celeste and I sat in carefully positioned chairs, both wearing concealed body armor the police had provided. Hayes's voice came through my hidden earpiece. He's approaching from the back, 2 blocks away on foot, all units ready. I squeezed Celeste's hand. Remember, we're safe. 20 officers outside. Your mother planned this moment. At 11:45, glass shattered in the kitchen. Deliberate, quiet, professional. Footsteps in the hallway. Then Thaddeus appeared in the doorway, gun in hand, dressed entirely in black. "Hello, Celeste." His voice was ice. "Did you really think you could run from me, old man? Stay in your chair, or I'll kill you both right now." I stood, slowly, hands visible. "Thaddeus Blackwood, or should I say Todd Brennan. We know who you really are." His confidence flickered. "What are you talking about?" "Massachusetts, 2019. Eleanor Richardson, 73 years old. You convinced her to change her will, then she died of a heart attack. Rhode Island, 2021. Herbert Mason, 68, same pattern. And my wife, Vivienne, 6 months of poison in her morning coffee." His face hardened, gun steady. "Prove it, old man. You have nothing." "Actually, we have everything. Toxicology reports, financial records, surveillance footage, testimony from your previous victims' families. The Connecticut State Police have been building a murder case for 3 months." I paused. "Detective Hayes, he's here." Police flooded in from every entrance, front door, back door, windows. 20 officers' weapons drawn, tactical lights blinding. Thaddeus moved fast, grabbing Celeste's gun to her temple. "Everyone back, or she dies. I've done it before, I'll do it again." Hayes's voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. "Thaddeus Blackwood, you're under arrest for the first-degree murder of Vivienne Ralston, attempted murder of Celeste Ralston, and suspicion of murder in 2 other cases. Release her now." Then Celeste spoke, her voice surprisingly strong. "You made me kill my mother. You used my hands to poison her every morning. You married me under a false name. You tried to murder me in Paris. But you failed because my parents loved me enough to prepare for this exact moment." "Your parents?" Thaddeus spat. "This old man isn't even your real father. You're adopted. You're nobody's real daughter." Celeste's tears flowed, but her voice never wavered. "He's more my father than biology could ever make him, because he loved me enough to let me learn the hardest lesson of my life. That's real family." Something broke in Thaddeus's expression. Surrounded, no escape. Evidence overwhelming. He released Celeste and dropped the gun. The SWAT team moved instantly. Handcuffs, Miranda rights. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." Hayes debriefed us at 12:15. "We have him on breaking and entering attempted murder tonight and enough evidence for first-degree murder. He'll also be charged in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. He's never getting out." As they led Thaddeus away, screaming about lawyers, Hayes remained calm. "We have your dark web purchase of digoxin, your fake IDs, your bank records showing stolen funds, and testimony from 3 families. We can prove everything." At 1 a.m., as police processed the scene, Celeste collapsed into my arms. "I'm so sorry, Dad, for everything, for not seeing, for betraying you, for being so blind." I held her tight. "Your mother knew you'd find your way back. This was never about punishment. It was always about education, about teaching you what real love looks like, the kind that lets you fall so you can learn to stand." Maggie arrived at 2 with hot tea sitting with us in the quiet aftermath. Vivienne would be so proud of you both. Dexter for having the strength to follow her plan. Celeste for having the courage to admit your mistakes and come home. As dawn approached at 3, Celeste and I sat together exhausted, but at peace. I looked at Vivienne's photograph on the desk. "We did it, my love," I whispered. "She learned. She grew. Justice is served." Outside, the first light of morning painted the sky in shades of hope. 6 months later, spring had transformed everything. The beach house gleamed with fresh paint, a wheelchair ramp leading to a welcoming porch with rocking chairs. Security cameras, discreet but present, watched over what was now a sanctuary. Celeste stood on the beach, Vivienne's final letter in her hands, reading aloud. "My dearest daughter, by now you know the whole truth. You were chosen, not born into this family, which makes our love even more precious. Biology is an accident. Family is a choice." Her voice didn't break anymore when she read those words. "Maxwell, your biological father made terrible mistakes, but he loved you. The $2 million he left is yours by right. Use it wisely. Use it to help others who face what we faced." At 10:30, we stood before gathered friends, Maggie, Sterling, Detective Hayes. Neighbors, who'd watched this story unfold. Celeste pulled a cloth from the sign mounted on the porch. Vivienne's Legacy Foundation, protecting families from financial predators. I announced our mission. "We're combining Maxwell's inheritance with our family trust. This foundation will provide free legal help, financial counseling, and safe housing for elderly victims of financial abuse." Celeste's voice was strong, certain. "My mother taught me the hardest lesson, that real love sometimes means letting people fall. Now, I want to catch others before they fall as far as I did." We toured the renovated house, 3 bedrooms converted to temporary apartments, kitchen stocked, living room arranged for support group meetings. Everything Vivienne had envisioned. At 11:30, our first residents arrived. Arthur and Helen, both in their 70s, whose adult son had tried to steal their home through forged documents. Celeste greeted them with understanding that could only come from experience. "You're safe here. I know exactly what you're going through." The foundation office ribbon cutting followed. Maggie as community outreach director, Sterling providing pro bono legal services, Detective Hayes serving as law enforcement liaison, Dot coordinating victim support, a team built on shared purpose. Celeste handed me her new business card, victim advocate and financial abuse educator. She'd quit marketing 6 months ago and found her calling. At 1 o'clock, I sat on the porch with Vivienne's photograph in its silver frame. "We did it, my love. She learned, she grew, and now she's using her pain to protect others. You'd be so proud." An email arrived at 2. "Dear Foundation, I'm a 68-year-old man in Vermont. My daughter's new husband is pressuring me to change my will. I'm scared. Can you help?" Celeste read it and looked at me. "Dad, let me handle this one. I know exactly what warning signs to look for." I watched her work, seeing Vivienne's wisdom in every movement, her compassion in every word. Detective Hayes visited at 3 with news. "Thaddeus was formally charged in all 3 states. Massachusetts and Rhode Island families are getting justice too. Your wife's plan didn't just save Celeste, it saved future victims." The community gathered at 3:30, neighbors, board members, residents, all sharing a meal on the beach. Celeste stood to speak. "6 months ago, I was the most selfish person I knew. I betrayed my father, dishonored my mother's memory, and nearly got myself killed. But they loved me enough to let me learn. Now I want to spend the rest of my life earning that love by helping others." Arthur responded, tears in his eyes. "Young lady, you just saved our home and possibly our lives. Your mother's legacy lives on through you." At sunset, Celeste and I walked the beach together. Dad, do you think Mom can see us now? I think she's been watching every step, and I think she's smiling. We drove to the cemetery as dusk fell. The new headstone read, Vivienne Ralston, beloved wife, mother, educator. Her love transcends death. Her wisdom protects generations. Celeste placed fresh flowers at the base. Thank you, Mom, for loving me enough to let me fall, for teaching me what real family means. I touched the cold stone, warm memories flooding back. Thank you, my love, for being 10 steps ahead, for protecting our daughter even after you were gone. As we walked back to the car, spring flowers bloomed around us, new life, from old soil hope, from heartbreak, purpose, from pain. Vivienne's plan was complete, but her legacy was just beginning. Justice came not through revenge, but through education. A father's patience, a mother's foresight, and a daughter's transformation prove that wisdom protects more than walls ever could. Sometimes you must lose everything to discover what truly matters. Subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.